Alrighty, welcome back to episode 4 of the Merce and Nurse Show. It is I, your Merce, Noah, and my co-host is...
Hi, it's me, Barbara.
And she's back. We're all back, y'all.
Woo!
She's the actual nurse. And Mom, I don't know if you know this, but this is our 4th episode.
I know. I can't wait till we hit our 100th and we're going to throw ourselves a party. Cake and all.
No kidding. Like I said, this is... For 4 weeks, we've been doing this, been prepping, been, researching, finding out topics, finding what we can talk about.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but for me, I feel more relaxed, more open, more happy to talk about some stuff, right?
Yes. And especially, our family. So what happens is we set up and Noah was out at a birthday party for his wife. So they just got in. And so I was already laying in bed and I said, okay. So I ate some leftover barbecue to try to wake up. It's kind of late, but I'm like, you know what? We got to do this because when we become syndicated and popular, we're going to be up all hours of the night.
For anything, you got to be for anything, right? So, but no, I know it's late for us, but when y'all hear this, it's going to be morning. Hopefully, you're listening in the morning.
And we're excited.
But we're here. We're going to get going. Just so you know, this episode can be kind of rough. It's going to be a little hard one because we're going to talk about some serious subject about about death. Okay,
so death and with our patients, not like just losing some family.
Yes, that's a whole nother ball game. Like I said, like I understand. We've all been there. Most people, if you haven't, Lord willing for you, but
Lord forbid, not
Lord forbid.
Lord willing.
Oops, sorry, y'all. Hey, I have nothing against y'all.
We don't want y'all to experience that.
But yes, you know what I mean. Like,
yes.
But it seems like it's different, coming from a nurse's perspective, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, I guess my question for you is, how do you cope with this death? Because I know you work with these older patients, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of them go there, for the
final resting.
Final, exactly. So how do you cope with it?
I know we were talking about this the other day, and I was thinking about a story that when I first started, I had Noah. Noah was about 5, and I became pregnant with my second son, Roman, and I was taking care of Mr. I'm just going to say Mr. A, just to say
yeah.
And Mr. A was from a small town here, and I just fell in love with him. He was so funny. He had a stroke. He was all with it. He just had a stroke. He reminded me of the Curious George guy, because he was the tall with that big hat. Anyways, and he would crack me up. He would always say the food was dog food, and so my mom, she'd always make a lot of dinners for us, and he loved her enchiladas. So every time she made some, like on a Sunday, I would leave. I would go home from work, and we eat at grandma's, and right away she packed me a plate, and I run it to him, and he would just tear it up. He would live for grandma's enchiladas. And I remember when I was pregnant with my second son, he sent his sister-in-law to buy me a gift, a baby blanket, and I still have it to this day. And Roman's 22, so.
Shout out, Roman.
Yeah, shout out. And I saw it a couple of years ago. We were moving, but I just thought, and I just loved him. So long story short, he had one son, but the son lived out of state, like up north. And my resident he had to go to the ER. Something happened to him, and he passed away in the ER. And I remember them calling me, because back then, like the nurses, it was a small town, but they would do that. And they called me and they said, "I'm sorry to let you know, Mr. A passed away." And I was devastated. And then it was so sad. I think I was telling that everybody was coming to me because they knew how much I was so close to him. They were like, "I'm sorry." They were telling me. So I finished the day out, and I remember I called my mom, and I was just so devastated because I just loved him. He was a big part of my life, and I was there all the time. I just loved him, and I would always do special things for him. And so I remember coming home, and it's hard because I was a mother of you being young, and I was pregnant, and it's just hard to deal with it coming home. And my husband, he would understand, but I don't think he really understand death. I saw it a lot.
Yeah.
But especially with someone I loved. And I just remember I was just I was just devastated, and I cried, and of course I probably cried in the shower, but and to this day, X amount years later, I still think of him, and that is hard. That is hard when someone you take care of is there one day and gone the next. So
I can, yeah. I mean, I guess my question is like, if you could give anybody advice of like how you cope with it, like what would you give somebody?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and especially me that that I've shared it before. I'm Christian. I prayed on it, and I just prayed that I thought of it as he didn't want to. He had lost his wife a couple years ago, and one of those old school love stories. And I just said, I just found comfort in knowing that he knew God, and I knew he was reunited with his wife.
Okay.
And but it is hard because I would go and I would look at the empty room but I had funny memories too about him. But I work long term.
How long did you care for him?
Oh, it was a couple years, and this is a funny story.
So you had a good amount of.
Yes, he was like a grandpa, and I remember one time his sister-in-law would bring him like these calcium chocolates, and I remember I would come in and he would have wrappers everywhere. They're like little squares.
Yeah.
And I would tell him, "What the hell are you doing, Mr. A?" And he would laugh. I'm eating some damn chocolates because this food's dog food here, except your mom's food. And so I would think of stories like that because he was just a sweetheart,
Yeah, man.
But that's hard.
And would you say that one like kind of still sticks with you?
Yes. He really made an impact on me, and I hope I did for him because I was we were his family, so yeah.
So would you say like was that patient? Do you say like he broke you? Like you actually felt like was he like the worst?
Yes.
I'm guessing because you gave so much to him and you actually built that rapport to almost it was like family, right?
Yeah, and I was also kind of like a new nurse, and you took things to heart, and I was just but I thank God that he didn't pass away there, and I saw it. I mean, God was good that he passed away in the hospital because I would have been a mess having to do CPR or whatever on him.
Exactly.
So that was that was.
So I guess you piggyback off what you were saying. I recently had a patient that I cared for in the ICU. He had tuberculosis, but he was already on the end stage. Like the end stage, I think good. Like he was actually getting better. He was considered non-contagious anymore because it's crazy because per the infectious doctor over there, they're saying if you have TB and it's active and you're getting about 2.5 weeks straight of your TB treatment, because it's not just one antibiotic, right? It's like 2 or 3 of them, but it's a regimen.
Yeah.
And after if you stick with the regimen in the hospital and you're taking it after a certain amount of time, you're considered non-contagious.
Yeah.
So anyways, just side note on that. Well, this guy, we had him for 4 out of my 6 shifts already, right? And he, I cared for him every single day. We were there, gave him all his meds, turned him, cleaned him, everything. Yeah. And he had a trach, and it was on a ventilator. The ventilator was just, breathing for him. Yeah. But because he was so weak for tuberculosis, it just really threw him down, right? Lungs. So it was just assisting him. And he was going to go to a long-term acute care facility, they call it LTAC. But before he could go, he had to get a PEG tube so they could feed him. Because he had an NG tube that we're feeding him for. But LTAC won't take you unless you have a PEG tube. So it was scheduled for Monday. I had him that Saturday, Sunday, and then he was scheduled Monday to go get that PEG tube. Like I said, this guy, he's talking. He's not talking to us, but he's mouthing. He's pointing. He's alert, right? Excuse me. And so, so we leave. We do handoff. Everything goes fine. He's resting. We leave for the day. Sunday, get home. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I go back Thursday to go take care of him. We get there, and I pass by the room, and he's not there. And I'm looking like, hey, awesome. He got out of here, right? I was so happy. Because we got to know the family, and we got to, you got to care for them, or not just the patient, but the family, right?
Yeah.
And so I went and talked to my nurse and said, hey, so-and-so's gone. She's like, what? That's awesome. And someone's like, oh, you mean the TB patient that was in the room? So I'm like, yeah. He goes, no, he passed away. And I was like,
Yeah.
And that just hit me. I was like, what are you talking about? He passed away. Like,
Yeah.
how? Like, he was doing so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. He's fixing to
He
go.
was one of those we
Yeah.
didn't expect, right? Well, found out that due to reading the case notes
Mm-hmm.
about him, through sometime that morning, about
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 in the morning on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
he knocked out his ventilator tube that was on his trachea,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until X amount of time that the
Yeah.
nurse finally saw the alarm was
Yeah.
screaming, and went in there, and I mean his sats were already
Yeah.
about 50, and and so they coded him. They
Yeah.
finally got him back, but they did a CT and they found that not CT, excuse me, an MRI, and they found that he had pretty much almost a full-fledged, complete brain
Yeah.
anoxia.
Yeah.
Everything was just dead. It was completely gone.
Yeah.
And so the family made him a DNR, and
Yeah.
they did comfort care, and then with comfort care they give him morphine, some
Yeah.
Ativan,
Yeah. Just end of life.
yes, and just end of life care.
Yeah.
And they stopped everything, and he passed away
So
that day.
So how was that for you? Because you probably thought,
I
oh, he's doing good. He's gonna just step down, eventually go home.
Exactly, like, so 'cause, we were so excited because when we first had him a couple weeks prior, like, he was in bad shape.
Yeah.
Like, TB really
Yeah.
kicked him down, and from dealing with him for these past couple shifts and finally seeing him, alert and actually going at it, and I'm looking at him like, I'm like, dude, you can make it. I know you can make it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so happy because, a lot of them do make it in ICU, but some don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that must be hard, especially I'm sure, when you start to work and more, you're going to show up sometimes and the beds are going to be empty, and a lot of times they're
Exactly
the situations, right? Because you get a lot of sick people in there. Yeah.
And I think, and it sucked because, I really, it's one of those deaths, like, it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Like, it sucked that it got knocked out. I don't know.
Yeah, and because I remember we talked after you got for work, and I could just hear you just it's just disappointing because you get to know that you got to know him, and he was talk alert and stuff, but and I'm sure your drive back you thought about it.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't nonstop. Yeah, and that's just. So what are some things that you think that you're going to start doing when you cope with that? Because this is just the reality of, being working in a hospital setting also, ER, ICU.
Especially in the critical care spots, right? I called my buddy who is a trauma nurse up in Chicago, and shout out never mind. I'll talk to him a little bit. Anyways, I was talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like, it sucks, but sometimes you kind of have to, like, how you say that word? Compartmentalize, and just dig it down somewhere, put it away just for the shift, because I still got other patients that still need care. And he goes, you deal with that when you get home. You find that somebody you can talk to. You find that somebody that actually understands what you're going through." And you tell them, you say, "Hey man, like, this is what happened today." And they listen, and that's the great thing. They sit there and listen to you. But what we looked at this is, how we started this podcast is just to therapeutically just talk about stuff that we're dealing with to someone who understands, and to listeners who actually knows what we're going through, that they can empathize with us, right? Empathize is the one that
empathize.
They can empathize with us. And I just, like, it, to me, I just have to talk about it.
Yes.
Because I have had times where I just kept it down, because I don't like to talk about some certain stuff a while. I do have stuff that I keep buried. But I started realizing that it's not, it's not healthy. And so talking about it does help. Even if there's no answer, to what's going on, it's just the fact that somebody's listening and that I'm releasing it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I guess my biggest thing with all of this is like have that outlet. Find that outlet for somebody. If it's, working out, if it's having that friends to talk to, or having that group that always help me out here. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and like for me also, I've always journaled, and I'm just saying anyone can do that. And I'm not saying these long entries, but sometimes I just have to write, today was a bad day. I'm pissed, I'm mad, I'm sad, just to get it out on paper. It kind of like, purges out of you.
Yes,
But
yes.
you're right.
And like the end of the day, like the biggest thing that I lean on is, my faith of that I believe that I have a calling from God to do this and to take care of them. And even if sometimes, we don't win the battle for them, like they don't make it, I just hope that I can at least be that somewhat of that, that comfort towards the end of
that
life.
at least made someone
Somebody was there.
A little bit bearable, right? Because
I saw a lady that she was a GI bleed, and she was the one I told you about that. We coded her that morning, and they withdrew care that evening, but she passed away by herself. There was nobody there.
Yeah,
that hurt me.
Yeah,
but then the following shift, there was another lady who passed away. But I said they DNR'd her and they did comfort care, but she had family.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, it was like 40 or 50 people just going in and just spending time with her,
sitting with her and being with her.
And that right there, to me, I have a fear of dying alone because dying, I'm not scared about that because I know where I'm gonna go when I die.
Yeah,
and like in the Marines, like they taught you like you do this, you might die. And so like it's engraved into you, right? So dying, not really big an issue for me. Is my fear is just dying alone. Because I saw that.
Yeah.
You see people just that last moments of life, they're just scared by themselves, nobody. And I hope they're not in that feeling, but some of them are.
Exactly. And I was talking to my mom to Noah's grandma. I talked to her a lot, and we're talking about this, and I said, I was telling her about and I said, I hope because that you've already been dealing with this. I said, I hope Noah, like people think when someone's dying, and a lot of times, it's just. I mean, have you ever experienced it? I told my grandma, I said, I hope Noah just gets that empathy. Like what I would do was I would get a washcloth and I would just open their hands and wipe them. I would wipe I would clean their face if they have no family, and I would tell them, I'm here. You're okay. Today's Saturday. I would make little small talk as I was doing care, but I would always tell them when I knew, I dealt with a lot of hospice, and I would tell them, it's okay. It's okay to go. It's okay. And I would always say a little prayer when I was by myself with them. And I would just tell them, it's okay. You're not alone. You're here. But just those little things that, no one's going to see. It's like, put chapstick, just comfort them, because that's how I would want to go. Yeah. I would want someone just telling me, it's okay, Barbara, your family's okay and you're going to be okay. So that is,
and like you have 27 years of experience when it comes 27 years of experience when it comes to this. And I'm barely just getting my feet wet when it comes to this. But it's crazy, how like you get the feet wet, but hey, right off the back, you're getting your feet wet.
Yes,
it's like you're jumping in the pool, like you're getting wet.
It's like they're pushing you off that cliff. Okay, bye.
Like I know I told you one time, like when I was in the Marines, as a firefighter. Excuse me, we had one loss of life with a helicopter crash, and that was really all that we dealt with. We had a couple of other injuries, some serious, but no loss of life. And it's different now that because when you go out there to an emergency or a call, something already happened, right? So you're going there to make a bad day better, and trying to stabilize and help these people to get them to a hospital. Versus in the hospital, these people are already messed up.
Yeah.
They need you to get them better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And at some times it's like you're giving everything you can. You have them maxed out on all these pressors. You have them, you have them maxed out on these pain, on fentanyl drips, profile drips to keep them sedated, so you can keep working on them. And you're giving them everything the body needs, trying to see if the body can actually withstand it and come out of it, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you just don't win.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I just give, I don't know how the nurses did it when with COVID, because
exactly.
because
seeing death after death,
it was constant. I know statistically wise, most people who caught it were okay, right? But and that's what gets me is that people are like, oh well, it's not that people died, blah blah blah. Like, but you don't understand. It gets me because I'm like, you don't understand. Like in the hospital, it's not normal for people to be dying left and right.
No.
And that's why these hospitals were so overwhelmed, because the people who were getting sick and who were dying were the ones that were that small statistic that we read about, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, only 2-3% are actually dying from this, but that 2-3% is thousands.
Yes.
Come look at the bigger
and
picture.
to those nurses, I don't think what people understand is they were trying to do anything they can. You know, everybody was trying to do a plan, and then when and it's like they say, one lost a life. That's
one's too many.
Yeah,
One's too
especially when they're they were young fathers or mothers.
Yeah.
So yes, and we've all seen the pictures and burnout and stuff, but yeah, we
like the one, there's one picture that always it's like engraved in my mind. It's one where there's a patient's in the bed, right? It's like a cartoon drawing.
Yeah.
But if the patient's in the bed, and there's there's a couple of nurses and doctors, and they're holding onto a rope. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's the patient's spirit is floating up, and they're holding a rope, trying to hold him down.
Yes.
And I give my the how do I say it? Like I give my not praise, but my
well, you're just like in awe of the team when they work together, because that person could be someone that was probably it don't matter who it is. That person could have been a crappy person, but when a nurse and doctor, whoever works on them, they just want to get them better. Exactly. They're not judging them. They just want them to
I don't care who you are.
Live for
I don't care what you've done.
Yeah,
I'm here for you. I want you to live.
Yeah.
And
that picture really says a lot. When you see it. Because it's like what the things they try to do. Because sometimes you hear, oh, they don't care, whatever, and a lot of people are totally far from.
I want to give a shout out to my preceptor right now. She has one of the biggest hearts I see, especially working in the ICU.
Yes,
and she loves her patients.
Yes.
more than I've ever seen. And
I make sure to make her a big goodie bag when you're done.
No, I see her and she. When one of the patients said something like, "Hey, I want to thank you for everything," sincere, she'll start crying, and I'm like, "Girl, why are you crying? Come on, we gotta go." And she's like, but she just feels them. She has that sympathy for them, and she's like, she feels like she's making a difference, and which she is. She's a great nurse. She's awesome. Stephanie, shout out to you. But. So my biggest thing I would say is my coping is my my faith is I just trust God that everything's happening for a reason. I'm in that moment for a reason.
Exactly.
And
just find outlets.
And exactly.
And don't keep it in.
Exactly. That's the biggest one. Just don't keep it in. Find those outlets and just keep going. You know what I mean? So all right. So enough with the sad stuff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sniff,
but
sniff.
hey, it needs to be said. And we need to
right.
talk about this every once in a while.
Yes.
So I don't know if you've seen this. This is one of the biggest news I have been just in awe about this. Insulin price drop.
I see that.
Eli Lilly caps there is a pharmaceutical company. They cap their insulin prices at $35, and they've cut down almost 70% of all their insulin costs.
I know, and I was reading an article too, and I feel for the elderly because, they're on a fixed income, and yes, they have the Part D, but I mean, even like my dad, like your grandpa, I mean, sometimes, that insulin is crazy until you hit your deductible. And I was reading a statistic, and they said that it was a study like in 2022, over 37.3 million Americans have it. And that is crazy.
That's insane. Like I said, it's so awesome, that this company actually did, cap their price and drop it down, right?
Yes.
So, some people use that insulin, that Lispro injection, which is, well, right now it's $25 a vial. $25 a vial. That's insane to me.
Yes. Because from what I read also, I don't know which insulin exactly. I was reading about the Humulin and the Humalog.
The Humalog, yeah.
It's $10 to make. That's what I read.
That's what I'm saying. No, see, I really hope this right here, this is gonna spark that in the market
for other meds.
Other meds,
yes.
Well, not just that, but other insulin companies, because from the CEO, he stated that only 7 out of 10 Americans don't even use their type of insulin. Their brand of insulin.
Yeah.
So that's saying a lot of them aren't using this company, right?
Yeah.
But if I mean this is what's awesome about American healthcare. I know there's a lot of problems.
Yeah, but
American healthcare is you can choose what you want.
exactly,
You know what I mean? So
exactly.
so them doing this, I think and hope a lot of other people are gonna go to this insulin instead.
Yeah, and kind of make it like a little price war and go down.
The price war.
Yes.
That's what I love about capitalism. You can make the price
Yes.
war.
And I always think about my grandma, my dad's mom. I remember, of course she just, had a little Medicare, Social Security, whatever. And I remember there were times when she had to kind of pick and choose what she was going to get with her Social Security check. And she was a diabetic. And of course, her kids helped her, everybody. Yeah. But what I'm saying is imagine how many elderly that are by themselves, don't have family, and they need insulin. And I've heard people, that like the elderly, they may not give themselves the right dosage because
they're trying to stretch it out. They're trying to stretch it out.
But anyways,
and
so that's awesome.
That's one of the things that I really, because there's a lot that goes into all of this medications and pharmaceutical company. There's a lot. But one thing I really just hate is how inflated the prices are.
Yes.
Because, they're like, it's so much because insurance can pay for this and
Yes.
we're going to get it. But what about those who don't have insurance?
Exactly.
That's my biggest thing.
Exactly.
And diabetes, yes. Yes, it's lifestyle. A lot of the big time you get diagnosed with diabetes. But at the same time, it doesn't matter at this point.
Exactly. We just get better.
If it costs, like you said, $10 to make one
a vial,
but yet it's what $300.
Yes, $300. Yep,
a
month.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, something's not right here.
Exactly.
When do we stop putting people's health over money?
That's right.
That's something that we just got to deal with. Just a little tidbit before we keep going. I know so Texas NPs, nurse practitioners, right? Mm-hmm. They fall under full restrictions per the National Registry. What that means is that they have to have a MD supervising them.
Yeah.
And
have to work under them.
Under them, right? Mm-hmm. So there's only a couple of states that allow full unrestricted access, which is a lot of them are in the rural areas, rural states.
Yes, and they do
Midwest,
that. Yeah, and they do that
because doctors can't be everywhere,
exactly.
right? So the NPs are there to help and do that.
Yes,
that little buffer zone, right? Well, there is actually a new what's it called? Three. Oops, sorry, it's right here. There's four bills that is trying to remove nurse practitioner restrictions. And it's actually gaining government support, which is awesome. Good. So, because I know this had been a fight for a long time for NPs trying to get more autonomy, right?
Yeah.
To practice under their own license.
Yeah.
And I think this is really a good step forward. Just to let y'all know, just keep a lookout.
Yes.
But besides that, I mean, I don't really have anything else for any news for today. So I guess we'll just, push on out to one of the last tips and tricks for today. You know what I mean?
Yes.
All right. So I want to tell you this. This past weekend, we had a patient. I was in the room, and on our monitors, we can watch. And this is ICU, so everybody's on monitors, right?
Yeah,
Always watching it. You can actually set up a second patient's monitor in another patient's room in case you're in there for extended period of time.
You can see how they're doing.
How they're doing, right? While we're in there to care for a patient, I look up the monitor, and it wasn't our patient. We were helping another nurse out, so I'm looking at her monitor, and she has another patient. All of a sudden, it just starts screaming red, and it says VTAC, and we see VTAC on the monitor. I'm like, oh my God. And so I took off running to the room, and a brother's sitting there eating ice cream. He's like, hey man. I'm like, sir, are you okay? I'm checking him. Yeah, I'm fine. The monitor, but it's showing VTAC.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, brother. He goes, oh yeah, that's happened a couple of days. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah,
so I called the nurse, his nurse, and she's like, yeah, I got in report. They said yes that he had the same things. So what it was running is he had some PVCs. For those who don't know what they are, that's called premature ventricular contraction. So it's when the bottom of the heart squeezes too early. So when you have 3 or more of those in a row, it's called a run on VTAC. Yeah. Because that is technically a VTAC, ventricular tachycardia, right? And so we were like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I'm like, dude, are you okay? Yeah, bro, I'm good. So the biggest tip I tell you is when you see something on the monitor and you go check the patient, don't start screaming code blue and start compressions. You need to assess your patient.
Exactly.
Check first. Make sure, because sometimes leads fall off and those different rhythms. But check your patient, assess them. Hey, check for pulse, alert. Most of the time, something's just a lead messed up, whatever. but assess first. Don't start calling code blue, running down the hallway, because then people are gonna look at you like, not today, son, not today. And you might get in trouble for that one. Oh man, so that's my tip for y'all. Make sure you assess your patients.
Awesome.
All right? And I want to leave you with one quote. This is the quote that my mom and I and our whole family knows very well.
Yes.
It's from a stage 4 cancer survivor. This is a shout out to you, Grandpa, Rudy.
They have the best advice.
Best advice.
He's 72, and they have the best advice in life.
He's been through life, and he's tackled life, and he's actually beaten life.
Yes.
I can say that. But he's always told us growing up, especially to this day, if you cannot run with the big dogs, stay under the porch.
Yes.
And that's always gotten to me, because, I mean, life's tough. Life's rough. If you can't handle it, then he's saying, hey, stay back.
Yes.
But don't stop. Keep pushing. Keep fighting. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know. I was envisioned, like, like in the country, we would go out there, I think growing up, and, you pull up and the dogs would see you, because, everyone had stray dogs or a dog, and they run under the porch, like in the summer, and they're running. I always think about that. Like, I think about dogs running, but that's true. And funny story, whenever growing up, that's how my dad gave advice, I'm making $1 of a dime. What did you spit up comes down. I remember I would tell him, like, Dad, I don't know, this or whatever, and he would always tell me that. So that was a catch-all advice for everything I went through in life. But hey, remember it. It means, hey, can't run, get back under.
So, I mean, we're closing out right now. I want to thank you for sticking with us.
Yes,
thank you
guys.
for joining this time with us. I know it was a little sadder compared to other ones, but like I said, sometimes you just need to talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll give a shout out to Rudy, who who you are, and I want to thank you for everything you've given us. I want to thank my mom for doing this with me.
Yes, it's been fun. We have a good time.
Yes, exactly. And I want to let y'all know, don't worry, episode every Monday coming out in the morning. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I'm actually going to put this on YouTube as well.
Oh, good.
Don't wait. We're going to start one day. Maybe show our faces and do live.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely want to show y'all pictures. That way y'all know who's behind the mic.
Exactly.
And real quick, Monday, I'm starting my new job at the county jail.
Oh, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I had a friend ask me, are you going to carry a gun? I'm like, I'm not a policeman. Do I need to?
No, you're going to do great. You're going to love it. And that's awesome. I want to thank you guys. Y'all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Bye, guys. God bless.